Assalamu alaikum. Lesson number 23. La'alla wa asa. The word two words la'alla and asa. So I decided to do this as a separate lesson because these two words have very similar meanings, but they have a different grammatical outcome on the particular sentence. So it's important because a similar meaning, but you understand how to differentiate between them when you see them in the Quran. So they have very similar meanings, but we have managed to find different words to explain them. And the first word is la'alla. The first word is la'alla, which means perhaps, or maybe. Yeah, which are similar, very similar meanings. So perhaps or maybe. And the second word we can say it means possibly. Now, just even though I am saying that they are perhaps, maybe, possibly, these words are very similar in meaning, and you will find that sometimes the translators, they will use perhaps here and possibly here, or they use maybe here and possibly there. Yeah, so it's not just because one is only perhaps or maybe, or one is only possibly. The meaning or the word that fits into that sentence will be a little bit fluid depending on what comes before and what comes afterwards. So let's take a look at some of the examples that we have found in the Quran regarding the ayat, and then we'll explain how they differ in their grammatical usage. So the first one, if you go to Surah number 59, verse number 21, la'alla, Surah number 59, verse number 21, which is Surah Al-Hashr, and in there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالُ نَضْرِبُهَا لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And you can see that لَعَلَّهُمْ is got the hum attached to it. So لَعَلَّ actually does have a dhamir that can be attached to it. لَعَلَّكَ, لَعَلَّهُمْ, لَعَلَّكُمْ. Normally it's لَعَلَّكُمْ and لَعَلَّهُمْ. And mostly it's لَعَلَّكُمْ. So perhaps you, as in the plural you. Very rarely is there anything else attached to la'alla, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing, of course, all of mankind and all of the believers and the disbelievers, sometimes separately, sometimes not separately, sometimes together. He's referring to everyone, so he's used the jama' of la'allakum. So in this, la'allakum tashkurun is being used. وَتِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالِ, and those are the examples. وَتِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالُ نَضْرِبُهَا لِلنَّاسِ, that we lay down for mankind. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَشْكُرُونَ is a لَعَلَّهُمْ. وَتِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالُ نَضْرِبُهَا لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, such a famous ayah, of course, read it all the time. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, so that they may يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, or perhaps they reflect. So here we can see that لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And in Asa, what's the example that's been given in the examples here? We can see Surah number 18, verse number 24. Surah number 18, verse number 24. In there, which is Surah Al-Kahf, it says, وَقُلْ عَسَىٰ أَن يَهْدِيَنِي رَبِّي لِأَقْرَبَ مِنْ هَذَا رَشَدًا. وَقُلْ عَسَىٰ, and say, عَسَىٰ أَن يَهْدِيَنِي رَبِّي, that perhaps, and this verse perhaps is probably better, or possibly, it doesn't matter actually, possibly, وَقُلْ عَسَىٰ أَن يَهْدِيَنِي رَبِّي, that possibly my Lord guides me, أَن يَهْدِيَنِي رَبِّي لِأَقْرَبَ مِنْ هَذَا رَشَدًا, even closer to this in guidance. Yeah, even closer to this in guidance. So we can see that they are very similar in meaning. Now, what is the difference in the grammatical structure? La'alla uses the same grammatical structure as inna. So la'alla and inna are very similar. That, for example, any word that comes after la'alla, and if it's a ism, if it's a noun, then it will take a fatha. La'alla Allah, if we go to Surah Al-Talaq, this is probably the best example for la'alla, because it has a noun actually that appears after it. Surah Al-Talaq, which is Surah number 65. Surah number 65, verse number what? Verse number 1. In there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تدري لعل الله, لعل الله, like inna Allah, لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. And let's take, so we can see that لعل is the same as inna, and that should be easy because now took inna in the previous lesson. Let's take a look at asa Allah, because, or asa, it's probably asa Allah an yaj'ala bayna. Okay, let's use that example. So if we go to Surah Yusuf, Surah number 12, verse number 83. In here, when Yaqub alayhi salam, he says, "Asa Allahu an ya'tiyani bihim jami'a," that perhaps or possibly Allah will bring all of them to me together. This is where Yaqub alayhi salam, or all the brothers had came back to Yaqub alayhi salam and to their father and said that Binyamin, the youngest brother, has been kept by Yusuf alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so Yaqub alayhi salam says, "Asa Allahu an ya'tiyani bihim jami'a," that perhaps, or possibly, that Allah will bring all of them to me together. So what he's thinking of is Yusuf alayhi salam, who was lost all those years ago, and now the youngest son is also lost to him anyway, and he's grieving, and he's like, I have my hope in Allah that perhaps all of them will be brought back to me, both Yusuf alayhi salam and both Binyamin as well. So, but here we can see asallahu. So with this word, asallahu, the ism of asa is going to take a dhamma. The ism of asa is going to take a dhamma. So in la'alla Allah is going to take a fatha. La'alla Allah, it takes a fatha. Yeah. But in asa, it takes a dhamma. And that's enough for you to understand the difference between the two. Of course, click the link in the description to go deeper in the understanding of these two words. We're going to do that, inshallah, with the people who are enrolled in the course now. Enroll in the course and deepen your understanding of the Quran, inshallah.